Hi, it's Kristen from Mindful Life, and I am diving into how we can rid ourselves of those bad habits that we identified from 2018. What do you want to let go of for 2019? Now, a lot of you mentioned that you wanted to get rid of junk food and eating sugar and those kinds of things. So that's what I'm going to use as our example today. Basically, all bad habits follow a general formula, and that formula is we have a trigger. Where's the trigger? It's over here. And then we have our response, and that leads to an outcome. Makes sense. You have a trigger, you respond in some way, that leads to an outcome. What I want you to do is think about that bad habit that you have, the one you want to let go of, and I want you to identify what are your triggers. What are the things that have been making you reach for the sugar, the bag of chips, the glass of wine, whatever it might be for your habit. For some of you, that might be diving into social media, or it might be procrastinating. There's lots of them. And this formula applies to all different kinds of habits. But for this one, what I started with was that junk food habit or some kind of food issue that you want to let go of. So possible triggers might be you had a stressful day, your kid did something that drove you nuts, you're bored, it's late at night, or you have a birthday party that you need to go to and there's going to be really awesome cupcakes there. These are all triggers for us to reach for the junk food. Then we have our response. Typically, what would we do? We eat the junk food, and that leads to an outcome. So here are some outcomes. And think about what is the outcome after you do that? How do you feel? Most of us, we feel lousy about ourselves. We don't feel too proud of ourselves. We might feel bloated. We don't feel healthy. We're in a lousy mood. We get that sugar crash. So what are the outcomes of this habit? So think about your habit in particular and do this from that perspective, from what you have been doing. And then I want you to create a new sheet, and you're going to write down those same triggers because the triggers aren't going away. We can't change the trigger. What we can change, especially with a little bit of mindfulness, is our response. So that R column here is what we can change. Sorry, I can't do this backwards. And especially when we have apply a little mindfulness, and we're going to talk about more ways to do that. So what are some alternative responses to the triggers? With this food analogy, it might be, you know what, I'm going to keep some cut up vegetables in my fridge. When I'm craving sugar, I'm going to go for those first. Or I'm going to make myself a nice sweet smoothie because that'll help my sweet tooth. Maybe I'm going to do a short meditation. I'm going to teach you a couple of those in a few days. Or have a cup of tea. What are some other ways I can respond when I get this craving? And then think about, this is the important part, what will the outcome be if I choose an alternative response? So in these cases, if I choose one of these healthy responses, I might feel more confident. I might be proud of myself. I might be in a better mood, which is going to trickle down to the rest of my family. So try to identify what are the outcomes of the alternative responses. So your assignment today, this is how we're going to dive in, is to create this formula for yourself. T plus R equals O. Start with what you have been doing so far for your bad habit. This is what I have been doing. These have been my triggers. This has been my response, and this has been my outcome. Yuck. And then what I want you to do is to create a new sheet with alternative responses. We are going to come back to this time and time again over the course of the next 30 days. What I want you to do in the comment section below is tell me what your triggers are. You don't have to tell us the whole formula. If you want to, absolutely. The more you share, the better. But start by really thinking about those triggers. When we have those triggers identified, they're primed in our brain, it's much easier to respond differently. That's it for today. I can't wait to keep diving into letting go of all of these bad habits.